I'm Jacob, one of the account executives here. I'm at my customers. And like to Mary's point, yeah, like in the 4 years that I've worked here, there are some features that can be really powerful when used the right way. And Smart Planner is definitely one of those. So in short, like there are two experiences of how the Smart Planner is used. One of them is how a rep uses it in their day to day. The other one is how a sales manager will use it in their day to day as well. So what I think would make the most sense would to be kind of show you how the smart planner can be pretty malleable. Like whether you're pre-planning or whether you're like trying to adapt in your day, you can always use that as a point of references to like, okay, like what do I have going on? But what else is worth my time while I'm over here too? So I will go ahead and get started with the mobile experience of Matt My Customers because I mean, heck, when everybody is pre-planning, some people live out of their calendar. We find some people live out of their, just looking at the map first thing in the morning. And Map My Customers is trying to like marry that all together into one experience. So what you'll see here momentarily, everybody see good morning in the little mini map right here. All right, sweet. So I'm sure as some folks know, like we do natively integrate with a bunch of CRMs like Microsoft Dynamics, Zoho, HubSpot, and Salesforce. But also everything I'm going to show you today can be synced with your Outlook and Gmail. So as you make meetings and map my customers and you schedule next steps, everything that is on the planner can coincide with that as well. So maybe you're a sales rep that has a manager that says, hey, like, why don't you put stuff on your calendar? We could actually help you get some of that information over there and still live out of just one platform like Map My Customers. So I'll click over into my, my planner that I have right here. And what you can see is that I've got, 3 visits that I've already completed this morning, and I have a follow-up for later in the afternoon. So with Map My Customers, besides kind of seeing that, as I go through each part and it's completed, they'll get checked off here. Something that's important to notice here as well is like we have the intelligence to say like there's a ton of gap time between 10 a.m. and 2:30. Like we might be able to help you here with things that are that could be slipping through the cracks. So with Map My Customers, you can see here when you click on this 7 nearby customers found, with one click, I can go ahead and see all the other accounts that, within a 5-mile radius of that that appointment that ends at 10 o'clock, what else is around me. And, depending on how you use Map My Customers, the way you use different pin colors and icons, like that could represent a customer profile to you, right? So maybe you look at it and you say, oh, cool, like these are prospects I've never spoken with before. The neon green may be warm leads that Marion Marketing is teeing up for me. Pink might be my trade show leads, right? Use your mind's eye. So with just one click, and then obviously kind of following something that aligns with your sales process and the way that you want to, kind of spend time with the right folks at the right time, you can just easily say, okay, great. Like this neon green account down here that Mary's teeing me up with, I can just click on this account right here. I can see the last time I spoke with him if I do have something that's overdue and go ahead and add it to the planner right there. So super easy, when you have gap time, we'll recommend it. But if we see that you only have like 30 minutes between a meeting, Map My Customer still has enough intelligence not to like recommend something between then. It's only when we find those really big gaps that it actually kind of makes sense to do that stuff. And besides the recommendation of what's just around you in general, something that I've noticed, and Kim, this is something that you and I talked about a little bit earlier today. I don't even think that people notice what this little plus sign here can really do. It's pretty great. So if I'm getting to that latter part of my day, right, like maybe I did add another stop here or two just by clicking that one, 7 nearby customers found. That's great. But then suddenly at 2:30, I still have like 2 other hours in this territory before I'm headed to dinner or, something that I have with a client. When you click on this plus sign down here, this introduces like all of the really important different parts that you can look at a map, but also then in general, just get a quick glance at from the planner. So, we have the concept of records that can go over cadence, showing me people that I haven't spoken to in a certain amount of days, rotting deals, finding new leads if I'd like to, reviewing open to-dos. So it's not just going to give you the recommendation of, oh, what else is around you? But if it's stuff that's way more pertinent to you, like you can get down to the nitty gritty of saying, all right, if I have accounts that fall out of cadence, maybe what that means to you is, you've created a group of accounts, your tier A's, that you see once every 30 days. And I want to know that if I've missed any of that thresholds, what are the accounts that have slipped out of cadence? You can click that and we can visualize that right here. No recent contact, pretty self-explanatory. Like, of the people that I'm supposed to speak with in the past 30 days or 45 days, what have I missed? Rotting deals can mean maybe I have a bunch of quotes out. And if I have something that sits in the quote is currently out and it's been sitting in that stage for too long, we can actually highlight that on the map too. So for teams that use not only activities in Map My Customers, but use our pipeline and deals as well, functionality like that can be really useful just to also, once again, like think about how am I getting the most out of that windshield time? What else is around me that I could focus on? So, just for the quick example of today, like maybe I'll just do no recent contact. And then what you'll see, like right in that specific area, and I'll zoom over to where I'm at here, you can see now, like I have all of the accounts and the deals that I haven't spoken to in that date range from here. And if you want to go ahead and click on them and add them to the planner, of course, that's one thing. But if you're already in that area and you're like, all right, like let's build a quick route. Like I've got, I'll do a quick territory blitz here. Let's just go ahead and make sure I can see them all. All you have to do with Map My Customers is just, from that same experience, click on the little blue icon here, draw the circle around the accounts they do want to hit. You could just build routes kind of like ad hoc as well. So building routes from the planner can be done with the lasso tool on the map. But also at the same time, down here in the bottom left-hand corner, you can actually create routes based on the things that you already have on your calendar as well. So pre-planning is done in a couple of seconds, the adaptability, and just at glance, from one experience here, we can give you a lot of stuff that you may not be thinking about when you have a huge territory, lots of accounts, or a densely populated territory in general. So let me pause there for a second. I know we covered like a few different features in terms of like the pre-planning and adapting with the planner. Is there anything that anybody has any, specific, like, oh, like, how does it work this way? Like anything like that I can help with?
No, but I do have like an interesting comment just because like JT posted about this on LinkedIn the other day. He had a dental device company that he was talking to, and one of the East Coast reps had like 3,400 accounts that they were supposed to touch. So this is like that pre-planning you just showed, like just like kind of put off a light bulb. Like that guy's visiting anywhere from like 10 to 15 accounts per day. So he could just go to his planner and pre-plan everything for the week. And then it's like right there. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Kate, would you add anything as well? Like, how do you typically see folks that are using Map My Customers in the Smart Planner? Like, what are their kind of best practices and how does it help them?
Yeah. And so I'd say it definitely does depend team by team, because you do have people who are a little bit more on the fly, people who kind of plan day by day. But then you do have those people who have a little bit more of an appointment setting, scheduling ahead mindset to what they're doing. Certain industries say, you're not just going to show up and pop back in here. So a lot of people who are, a little bit more appointment setting like to use it for kind of what you have at that fourth activity for the day is the follow-up, is really just gathering, like when I'm there, telling that person, I'm going to be in Map My Customers, logging my check-in. When you're logging your check-in, there is a button that automatically says put follow-up on the calendar. So in kind of one swoop, you're there and you can say, great, well, when are you next available in September? And have that on the calendar so you can kind of plan around some of your more important accounts or more important follow-ups. And then again, a lot of people are like, well, I, like you mentioned before, like live really religiously off their calendar. I'm really big into my Google Calendar. And if you have that set up to sync, that follow-up's there as well. So you really have that visibility. It's in both spots. Your manager can see it in Map My Customers, in your Google Calendar, but you're kind of staying focused in one spot as opposed to checking in, logging your activities, and then having to go back out to put a sticky note of a follow-up or something like that.
Yeah. A visual workflow integrated with a calendar experience sounds like something that would be pretty like natively aligned with how someone goes to market in the field. So yeah, like to your point, everything that we've covered there like is fantastic. But heck, like some people are just like, wait, you can put my appointments on the map for me. And like that may be a simple ask that can actually go quite a long way. Like maybe you're like a new sales rep, like just getting started in a territory that only has a couple of set appointments, right? And they're trying to understand, where am I going to go? Where should I plan to get a hotel? Who should I invite to a lunch and learn around here? And all of that can start to be answered in just one experience. And that, I'm doing this all from the mobile app. I'm at my customers. So that's really what we hope to be, is the planner can, drive all this information to your Outlook and your Gmail, but still provide you a lot of value in the platform to like keep your efficiencies and focus top of line, of course. Sweet. So the last thing I just want to cover on the mobile part of the planner, like that was pretty much the day in the life if a sales rep uses it. One of the more fortunate parts of our gig is that we get to do ride-alongs with current customers and prospects and stuff like that. And something that we commonly run into is sales managers that will do ride-alongs with their sales reps. Maybe they're seasoned reps, maybe they're just getting started, whatever it may be, right? And with my customers, you can always say that, Tony Stark, maybe that's the manager's planner, but I can click on into that little icon in the top left corner here and actually go through all of my different reps planners here as well, just to say like, all right, like I'm going to be traveling with Claire today. What does she have going on right now in this particular part of my territory as well? So keep top of mind. Yeah, like it's of course going to be very useful for yourself, but if you're looking at other folks' calendars, you can always do that from the mobile experience here as well, and kind of have that similar experience of what we covered there earlier, but based off of other folks' data. And that's the mobile planner day in the life. Unless y'all think I'm missing something, maybe just, leave a couple minutes here to answer some questions before jumping over to the desktop experience.
Yeah, that was great, Jacob. I just thought of another one too. JT talks a lot about how he was at Salesforce and he would travel to talk to one person. So we'd have like 1 3-hour meeting that he'd fly over to. And what he would do is do the meeting, fly there, fly back home, right? But that like 7 nearby customers like also put off like another light bulb in my head where, hey, if he's done with his 3-hour thing, he's got 3 hours between when the meeting finished and when he has to go to the airport. He could just like go pop in at, a nearby customer account. Like, hey, JT's here. Just wanted to know if I could grab you guys coffee or something like that. So I like that too.
Yep. And if the visual isn't, too useful, like you can always scroll your finger up on the tab here and then like that becomes a call list for you. You know what I mean? Like I can just click right into calling Apex Mobile Service. Like, hey, like I'm in this part of the territory right now. Like you guys trying to get lunch? So yeah, like all that it's like your calendar, it's like your contact information, it's the map, all right here for you to access that stuff as you need. Totally. All right then. Well, if nobody has any questions, then let's do a little bit of the desktop experience. A lot of that is still going to kind of overlap and work the same way, but there are a few differences. And I know Kim will point this stuff out. She gets to train on this stuff all day. So can you guys see my desktop experience I've got pulled up here? All right, sweet. So yeah, like I had made that notion earlier of like a calendar and a map kind of built into one experience. And that's essentially what this can highlight for you in the bottom left corner, integrated with somebody that is already familiar with what you have in Outlook and Gmail and would also already send information over there. So what you're looking at between the colors, something that's important to note is the light blue has been completed. And then anything that's in the dark blue is what's upcoming. Just as like a quick like notion, if I'm trying to like get an understanding of like what's going on at all, like their day in the week, I can see what they've completed already, what they've got coming up here. I can zoom into particular parts of the territory and say, oh, I know the account that's going to be over here for Royal Heat. You can pull up information here as a manager, just from the planner experience if you need to. And, maybe you see that they've already completed that and you want to leave a note, like something that's saying, oh, at Tony, did they like demo on new service? So it's really nice to kind of get like the at glance view of like what they have going on, but also like if you're communicating with your team, this removes a lot of duplicate efforts and keeps the team working strategically. So what I just did right there was I dropped like an at mention at someone. So the way that you kind of comment on somebody's Facebook, it basically works the same way inside of Map My Customers. So if you're communicating on meetings that you've already completed or things that are coming up in the future, you can just like drop comments or mentions inside of Map My Customers, and then all that information would actually like get pinged to your rep, like they'd get a banner notification on their phone or inside of the application or to their email, kind of whatever way you guys like to set that stuff up here as well. So yeah, like you can always what they've got completed versus what they have going on here. And if you are looking to do like more than one rep, like this is a new release that we've done where now if I'm looking at, all right, well, what does Tony and Claire have going on here? Now in tandem with two different colors, as you guys can see right here between the blue and green, I can do this for multiple sales reps at once. And, for someone who has a big team, you don't want to have to like go through a bunch of different calendars to do that. Now with just one experience from everything that I just kind of laid out there earlier, you can do this just from one screen here as well, clicking into their action items, communicating with them on stuff that's important, seeing what's already been completed, versus what's coming up for the rest of the week and maybe anything else that you can help with, right? Let me pause there for a quick second. Like anything that anybody wants to cover in terms of just like the general interface of the desktop experience of the planner. I'm going to make sure that
just to add there, so like Jacob mentioned, was a change here recently. Previously, it was an opt-out experience. When you opened up the planner, it would show you all your users on your planner by default. It became slow to load. It was not very helpful if you had more than 3 or 4 people on your team suddenly seeing this big mass of data. So we did make that change per the feedback that we've heard from other people, that the experience just wasn't super beneficial in the way that it was built. So we kind of made that change where it's now an opt-in experience. You default to yourself and then you say, okay, this is who I want to look at, versus opening up a planner and then seeing 45 different people's calendars layered on top of each other.
So we build what people want, right?
Yeah, Jacob, can you talk a little bit about the little badges on some of them, like why some have little badges and why others don't?
Yeah, so this is also another concept that Map My Customers released recently, where we have alert badges or things like haven't been completed in general. That's something that we also want to provide leading indicators to you on the map or in the planner experience here. So if there are other action items that haven't been completed, or they're in a frequency of, like these are accounts I'm supposed to follow up with in a certain threshold, like once every 30 days, there's stuff that you can always see right here from that leading indicator on the map as well. Kim, what else would you add of what that little badge icon is meant to do and like how it's supposed to be helpful?
Yeah, so that's alerting you, right, that one's incomplete. So just things that maybe have gone past that might need your attention.
Right. Looks like Tony and Claire have a couple of incomplete activities. Maybe those are some good ones to reach out to them about. All right. Awesome. So then the other part I just want to say here as well, like, you can always break down your map by complete or incomplete, or if you don't want to do a whole week, you can do like a month or a specific day. And then the map in general and this view would be it would change based off of that information there for you. And really what I think is important to cover here as well, like same way you build routes on mobile, on mobile, you can do that stuff from desktop here as well. So if you want to build routes from desktop on the planner and then that shows up on your phone, you can do that right from here as well. So a lot of the stuff you see on mobile can be done on desktop, but now it's just more of like a more holistic view if you're a manager like trying to look at multiple people's information. And if there are no questions on that, the last part that I would cover is probably just the list view here. And, some people like the calendar view. And then this is helpful when you're trying to dig into like specific types of activities that have been completed over a specific duration. And you don't want to run exports. So Kim, I'll let you kind of jump in here and kind of tell that story a little bit of what you've seen other folks using Map My Customers have done from this experience.
Yeah, so from a managerial perspective, the list view is a helpful way to kind of look across the user base for specific information. So if you know that each rep is supposed to be doing 3 lunch and learns a week, or that over this course of, since July 1st, how many visits have been done or how many meetings have been done. This will let you kind of focus in if it's not something you're actively exporting out or reporting out of the system, but really just want to get kind of a check-in number on. It's a quick, easy way to just go in and say, okay, from July 1st, we've got 62 visits that were created in this time period, very quickly, easily, and kind of run those numbers to say, well, does that align with what I should be seeing from these reps? You can filter by anything that's in the activity itself. So if you have a custom field like products dropped, and I want to see, okay, well, in Q3, who was dropping off this specific marketing pamphlet? Where did they go? It's a quick, easy way for you to just kind of pull up that information and scroll through who was doing it with which company. You can see the column that has the person who has done this activity. So it's just an alternative way to kind of get a bird's eye view of what your reps are doing in the activity section.
Awesome. Anything that anybody else, I can't see. Does anybody have any questions on what we've covered right there?
No, we're good, Jacob. No questions yet.
All right, sweet. Yeah, I mean, in general, like everything that Kim laid out, of course, you can do that stuff like from filtering and adding different rules from here. But also you can see kind of along the top right-hand side, like if I'm focusing on specific types of activities, like I want, calls that are also going to be included in that report. One, they're going to be done by specific reps that are complete, overdue, whatever as well here. And then you can modify that date range. There is a lot of flexibility on how you can do this information. And in general, it gives you that, right, like to Kim's point, a good bird's eye view instead of going to a rep and saying, oh, like what happened on all this stuff and like what have you been focusing on? Like you just get this information on your own pretty quickly from the desktop experience, and update information as you need to as well. But that's the day in the life of using the planner from everything that I typically see.
I love it, Jacob. I'm also a calendar enthusiast. So if it's not in my calendar, it basically doesn't exist. So these tips here are awesome. I even learned a couple of things. So thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, everyone who is attending today. As always, Workshop Wednesday is for you. You do not have to only ask questions about whatever feature we're talking about on a specific Wednesday. Like Jacob said, if you just want to see more filters, like how do I filter on a map? How do I pull up a company record? We're here as a resource for you. We just happen to talk about whatever features might be popular right now. So anything that people are using really frequently or features that people might be underutilizing. And Smart Planner is definitely one of those that we have put a lot of effort into updating, especially on the web app. So yes, please use it. Please ask questions. Reach out to support@mapmycustomers.me with any questions. And we will see you next week. Thanks, Jacob. Thanks, Kim.
Bye.
Yeah, of course. Have a good one.